Life is color, fed to you by a cold silver spoon, only to be regurgitated into black and white, wind chimes caressing sound. Stars collapse in deep penetration of mind form, transforming the five senses into pure chaotic beauty of the spheres, creating touch one can only hope to grasp. Subside into your being, allowing you to feel what only the spirits of our inner ghosts can breathe. Finally, freedom from the past which haunt our childhood longings from passionate cravings. Color is ultimately, finally revealed, drowning the black and white into the soul of the spoon which is carelessly put away, back into the forgotten drawer.
When I was 5 years old, I lost my first tooth. It fell out of my mouth while I was brushing my teeth. Fairy tales told me that if I kept it under my pillow, shivering pixies would steal it while I was asleep, and then leave a quarter in exchange. I was money hungry, so I happily secured the treasure that night. What the fairy tales failed to inform me of, however, were the tooth fairy parties. In the middle of the night, my parents came into my room and turned on the lights. "Wake up," they said. When my parents did this sort of thing, it usually meant that we were going to Disney, which I thought was built by little construction worker fairies. So I excitedly awoke and got dressed. Our minivan drove through a dark night until we reached a large cement building. Confused, I turned the doorknob and went inside. I was then in the midst of a dreary room illuminated with fluorescent lighting. What is this? And then I saw the Tooth Fairy. The thing is, I knew it was not the real Tooth Fairy. She was too old, too tall, too fat, and not sparkly enough. But I went along with the plan anyway, especially because a gigantic table of glazed donuts, chocolate chip cookies, and vanilla cupcakes stood adjacent to me. My spinal cord remembered my sweet tooth and sent excited, joyful vibrations to my brain. A huge pot of boiling hot tea was steaming in the corner of the room. I smiled. My stomach grumbled and I grabbed a donut and took an enormous bite out of it, then smiled once more. The fairy poured me a cup of tea and I sipped it gratuitously. That is all I remember. When I woke up the following morning, I forgot about the possibility of money under my pillow. Who needs money when you have sweets? As my parents sipped their coffee, I thanked them for taking me to the party. They nodded their heads in delight. Oh, what great parents. Ever since I lost that tooth, the magical Tooth Fairy party has never escaped the mysterious realm of my childhood memories. It has always been special, but also quite strange, especially because my parents seem to avoid the subject whenever I bring it up. The memory would stay with me anyway, at least until last month when I went out for bagels with my mother. I smeared some cream cheese and said, "Mom, could you try to remember taking me to that wonderful Tooth Fairy party? Please? I'm just curious for more details." She laughed a little and I glared at her. Mom hesitated, but finally told me, "Roxy, the Tooth Fairy party never happened. One of the storybooks you always read before falling asleep was about a bunch of fairies who attended a party after a long night's work of stealing teeth." So, the fairy tales did mention the Tooth Fairy parties? How could I forget? Are you saying that my most cherished of childhood memories was only a dream? Mom smiled, and I could not help but to laugh either. But why have I rattled on about some silly Tooth Fairy party that never existed? First, hopefully it presents my slightly odd and comical side. Secondly, it has a lot to do with the meaning of life, or mine at least. Listen, that night my imagination flourished. All of my dreams came true because I let them. I allowed my imagination to shape my reality, and in turn, leave me as a very happy camper. Even though I'm 17 years old, a small part of me continues to believe that the party happened, that those little construction worker fairies really built Disney World, and even that troops of muscular pixies hauled a fairy to the Statue of Liberty in New York. We don't have to deny reality in order to be happy in life, but we can definitely make it more uplifting and interesting by holding on to the magic of the childhood imagination. And in the end, we smile.
Life lost all meaning the day I woke up and found you were dead. My bedclothes suddenly seemed fit for public, and hiding seemed extraneous. Life had lost its luster, and nothing was more pressing than informing the world so it could properly come to an end. I came across a crowd and spoke the news of your depart. Our friends took it well. They shared stories and swapped memories I didn't care to hear, but they kept on living. They seemed just fine. So I ran for the shelter of a crowded sidewalk, nervous laughter erupting from my tired, quaking throat. Strangers bustled about, unbothered by your absence, unmoved by my hands that remained unheld, as a sickness inflamed my guts. I was frantic and frenzied, but the earth took no notice. I set myself on fire, but it didn't know the difference. I died, but the world kept on turning, and nothing came to an end.
My thoughts spin around my head as I walk out onto the wood planks leading down to the sand below. Too many thoughts, spinning around me like a pesky cord of gnats. I swat them down one by one, and then my feet touch the soft, dry sand. I run out to the dancing waves, happy to forget everything I've come down. My feet sink into the swishy shoreline sand. I don't even try to move as I sink lower and lower, and the waves reach higher and higher at my legs.
I step into the waves, letting the cool water rush around my legs, which are now knee-deep in water. The current swirls, pulling me in all directions, but I manage to keep my balance and step deeper into darkening waves. My shorts are splattered with spray, and little pieces of foam are clinging to my arms and hair. I stop right before the drop-off and watch the sun sink slowly lower.
The sun sets slowly, a different color at every level in the sky. Now it is a bright orange ball, setting off fireworks in my eyes as I stare too closely. I look to the pier where fishermen begin reeling in their casks, little red tails hanging out the poles and the wires. I turn my attention to where the surfers sit on their boards out in the water, watching as the last rays of sunlight before the nighttime sets in.
I lie back down in the sand and watch the kiwi birds scuttle in their funny little groups as they go to touch the waves and then scurry away as the waves come up to meet them. The pelicans fly in V-shaped formations across the pink sky. They sway slightly in the ocean breeze, and as the scent of that breeze reaches my nose, I breathe in all scents around me, and the salty smell stings my nose, and the bursts of air make my hair frizz. I pull my long hair back into a ponytail, and turn to where the sun is making red, orange, and even purple stains in the heavens.
I walk down to the water once more, seeing the pearly white shells wash ashore. I pick one up and rub my thumb along its smooth inside.
I pocket it, and the naturally water skims my toes, sending a shiver up my spine. I walk a little ways down the shore, picking up any shell that seems to catch my eye.
Glancing around, I notice the sun, just about to set. I hurry back to where I was perched and watch as the last threads of daylight fan out across the clouds.
I am awestruck at the beauty unfolding before me. The darkness begins to creep up, concealing the pier and the sea grapes. I stand up and take one last look out onto the peaceful scene of warmth, then walk out into the darkness that so eagerly swallows me up.